Both me and my husband are Christians, and we felt a real call to do this and to just teach people. We knew it was going to be an education centre, and we knew we were going to teach people about these amazing animals and what it was actually like for them to be in the food chain. Because even though there's ones that aren't in the food chains like ours, their life is massively impacted negatively because pigs are in the food chain. And I think people generally don't know that. I didn't know that.
Welcome to the Better Life for Animals podcast, where we amplify the voices of animal advocates, sanctuaries, and changemakers working toward a kinder, more compassionate world. Through powerful stories and expert insights, we shine a light on the efforts to rescue, protect, and advocate for animals. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening. Every follower helps us reach more people and support animal sanctuaries. Enjoy the conversation.
Suki Player is the founder of Little Pigs at Home, a sanctuary-style home for rescued pigs devoted to showing how intelligent, sensitive, and joyful pigs are when they are treated as family rather than food or property. After learning about the realities of industrial pig farming and the mini pig myth, Suki began taking in unwanted and at-risk pigs, creating safe, enriched spaces where they can root, explore, and build trusting relationships with humans. Through Little Pigs at Home, she combines hands-on care with education, inviting people into the pigs' daily lives so that they can rethink their relationship with animals, question the assumptions behind meat and pet culture, and imagine a more compassionate way of living. Suki, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So let's get right into what is the story behind Little Pigs at Home, and was there like a particular moment when you might have said, I have to do something different for these animals?
Yeah, there was actually. So we started out with our pigs, Hippo and Tulip. I'd always wanted a pet pig called Tulip. My favorite pig color was pink when I was a kid, and I always said to my dad, my dad absolutely loved animals. He brought me up to respect animals. He was a pescatarian, which was very unusual back in the day. And he always taught me that you must love and respect animals. So I said to him, when I grow up, I'm going to have a pink pig called Tulip. And he went, okay. So long story short, my husband made that come true when I was actually my 50th birthday. He researched it. We'd been through 3 attempts of IVF and it had failed. It was my second marriage. And then he thought, right, now is the time. Now is the time to get her a pig that she always wanted. And basically, we had Tulip and Hippo, and we didn't know anything about sanctuary life. We didn't know anything about being a vegan or anything like that, apart from my friend had shown me a few videos. And so we got these 2 baby pigs. They were 10 weeks old, and we'd set up our semi-detached house for these pigs. And then the Hippo started to become ill, and he started to fall over and have seizures, and we couldn't find out why that was. Took him to Bristol University Vets, Langford, and they couldn't understand what had happened to him. They thought maybe he had muscular dystrophy, so they did loads of tests. And eventually they diagnosed him with myotonia congenita, which is a disease. It's a muscle disease where if he falls over, he can't get back up. Now, when he was very, very little, he did manage to get back up, but when he became older, he couldn't get back up without being helped. So the vet said it's very rare. The nearest they could find documented was one in Brazil. So I spoke to the vet and I said, can it really be that rare? And they said, well, probably not, but a pig like that would just be destroyed on a farm in most settings. If he wasn't with you, he probably wouldn't be here. The thought of Hippo not being here because he was differently abled was just unthinkable. And I said to my husband, we've got to do something about this. And at that point, I just wanted to rescue every single pig that had a problem or a disability in the whole world, because to me, it was just unthinkable that he wouldn't be here just because he couldn't stand on his own. Because once he's up, he's really happy, he's really loving, he's loving life. So really, that was the turning point in my head, that and finding out about the plight of a lot of pigs in this country and actually around the world, and the fact that there are so many unwanted pigs. There's so many pigs that have disabilities that can't go anywhere, that people don't want. And that's when we thought, right, we really wanted to do something about this, but we didn't have the land. We lived in a little house. We'd set it up for Hippo and Tulip, and the house they completely took over the garden, which was fine. They completely took over the garage, which was fine. Pretty much most of the house as well. It was theirs. We were prepared for that. Tulip grew 3 times the size of Hippo, even though they were supposed to be the same breed, because there's no such thing as like a micro pig. He's huge. But nevertheless, we didn't care. The house was theirs, the garden was theirs, the garage was theirs. So we started off, we traded in the Audi for a Land Rover, and then we fundraised for a trailer, and we started off rescuing pigs around England and Wales, traveling hundreds of miles. And our first rescue was a massive, 500 kg intact boar called Harry, in sort of mid Wales. And we rescued him in a Doppler van before we got the trailer. That was the scariest moment of my entire life. But we got him to Brinsley Animal Sanctuary, and because he was going to just be destroyed. He'd basically been abandoned. So we found a home for him. And yeah, he lived happily until he passed naturally there. So that was kind of our story. And then when my dad passed away, my mum, who was actually 83, sold her land, and she wanted to leave a legacy. And she always knew that she was meant to do something, but she wasn't quite sure what it was. And then she had this feeling one day that we should start the animal sanctuary. We'd been talking about it and discussing it, and she wanted to kind of live with us anyway, but live in a separate house, but kind of next door to us. So Wales was the nearest place we could find with a house and a cabin next door for mum and land to start a sanctuary. So we moved here with 2 pigs, and it was 3.5 hours away from our family, which was a massive sacrifice, but we just felt called to do it. Both me and my husband are Christians, and we felt a real call to do this and to just teach people. We knew it was going to be an education centre, and we knew we were going to teach people about these amazing animals and what it was actually like for them to be in the food chain. Because even though there's ones that aren't in the food chains like ours, their life is massively impacted negatively because pigs are in the food chain. And I think people generally don't know that. I didn't know that until I got into this and started researching and talking to other sanctuaries and talking to vets. And we have vet students here and everything. So basically, that's the background of how we got started.
Many people think pigs in terms of, cute mini pigs, or I know most pigs are taken to slaughter at around 200 pounds. But of course, that's not their full-grown size. So what do you wish people understood about pigs, as far as, what it would take to actually care for one, what's misunderstood about their personalities? And like you were mentioning, how, they have an emotional life.
They absolutely do. And they're all completely different. They have characters, they have personalities, they have likes, they have dislikes, they have friends. We even had one, Bluebell Bear. She was the first pig to ever have a tummy tuck. And she basically was morbidly obese when she came in. She lost the weight and she trod on her belly still. So she had a tummy tuck at Bristol University Vets, the first one they ever did. It was successful. She lived her best life. She was running around the field. It was amazing. But she laughed when you blew a raspberry on her belly. She laughed. These pigs they are such different characters. When she passed away, Tulip, who is at Alpha, he mourned so bad that he got a temperature and he had to go and sleep in the same bedroom as his brother Hippo. I mean, he generally liked sleeping on his own, but for days he couldn't. He wouldn't eat because he was mourning. They're really intelligent. They make our dogs, I mean, our 2 dogs we absolutely love, but our pigs make our dogs look stupid because they're so highly intelligent. They outsmart us every time. Every time we think, okay, you're not going to be able to do this game, or we buy a toy with it, you're going to take a while to sort this out. In instance, they just sort it out. They're so intelligent. They're amazing. But their lives are dramatically impacted because we can't really... People need to know that these animals, even ours that are living their best life, they don't live the life of like, say, a domestic animal, because the medication isn't advanced enough for them because there's no money in it and people won't pay for it. The drugs aren't licensed for them because they're in the meat industry. So there's a lot of drugs that they could have that would enhance their health, but they can't have because they're in the meat industry. And that goes for all pigs, even ones that are never going to be in the meat industry like ours. It covers all pigs. There's no exception to that rule. So it's very, very difficult to get a broad spectrum of licensed drugs to help them, and procedures as well. Because as I said, Bluebell Bear, that was the first tummy tuck. Hippo is on a medication for human epilepsy because they've never had a pig, like I said, with his condition. So a lot of what we do, we work very closely with vets to try and enhance the medication and just to try and just make their lives better and teach vets. We have a lot of vets here that we teach. So people need to know. Once people come here, we do invite non-vegans here. We're not selective because we want to change people's hearts one pig at a time. And that's what we always say. And we do. Once people see the pigs close up, they touch them, they look at them, they stroke them, they kind of start interacting with them. People say to us, I never had a clue that pigs had characters, and they're so intelligent. Tulip likes to show off. He's at Alpha and he does tricks. He can turn, he nods, he does all sorts of things. And we don't do that just for the people. We do that for him because he loves to show off. The others don't. He's an absolute show off. And he loves doing it. So we let him do it and people love it, but they're so easy to train. And they love it. And pigs will do anything for food.
Well, tell us about your sanctuary. How many pigs do you house? And you said you allow the public to come in and visit. What does the day in the life of Suki Player look like?
Okay, so we have 16 pigs.
Okay.
We have sheep, tortoises, cats, dogs, and ducks as well. But our main speciality, and what I've been trained in specifically, because I've got a level 3 in sanctuary management specializing in pigs, that course actually had to be tailor-made for me because it was all about, the pig course was all about farming pigs, and I'm like, this is no good for me. So anyway, they actually wrote a special course for me so that I could do it. So basically we get up in the morning and we let them out and feed them and make their beds, because the littles, we call them littles. We have bigs, we have 500 kg pigs, 2 500 kg pigs, and we have little pigs up to about 100 kg. And we make their beds, put them outside, and they toilet outside. They never ever toilet on their bed. A pig will never toilet on the bed. They will have wee pads, and if they have to get up in the night, they'll go in the corner and go on their wee pad and come back to bed. But most often than not, they stay under their quilts. We have quilts and blankets and heat lamps for them in the winter. They go outside, we fill their toys. They love their toys. They shout to come back in. Play with their toys all day. And we maybe go up there. There's loads of chores to do. You can imagine, like changing the hay, sweeping the floors, and everything. They have lunch. They have fruit for lunch, and then they have their evening meal, and they have a bowl full of all sorts of goodies. Like we put flaxseed in there, we put coconut oil in there, we put glucosamine in there, and we put all sorts of vitamins and minerals in there for them with their soaked sour nuts and sort of liquidized blended vegetables. And that's their evening meal. They all go to their bedrooms. Some of them like sleeping with other pigs. Some of them don't. They've all got likes and dislikes. Tulip has to sleep on his own, and he's always the first down because he loves his bed. And they all have their routine. They love routine. And if you veer from it, they don't like it, and they sometimes kick off. And then they go on the mattresses. We cover them with blankets, put their heat lamps on, put the radio on. They love music, and then that's them for the night. So yeah, they're really happy, and they know what they're doing, and they like what they're doing. They all run to their own rooms at night. We have one pig, Frankie Bloomers, that wants to be in with the sheep. He does not like being with the other pigs. He thinks he identifies as a sheep. That's okay. So he stays with the sheep. When he was rescued, we rescued him, we put them in isolation, and the sheep were in there with him, and he loves them. He's very, very bossy, and I think he can boss the sheep about. So he stays with them. And then we've got Poppy and Percy, the bigs. They're like an old married couple. They just moan at each other the whole time, and they live together. They're really funny. And yeah, they've all got their individual little characters. Then we've got the Juliana family, the mum and dad, and the 6 babies. We rescued her when she was pregnant last year, and she gave birth on the 13th of April to 7 beautiful babies. Unfortunately, we lost one. But yeah, the 6 others are absolutely brilliant. They're really healthy and they're fun. They're just always creating mischief, tearing everything up. And yeah, I think the hardest thing for us is, and the scariest thing for anyone that has a pig, is if they get ill. Because if they get ill, you don't have the support that you have if, like I said, if it was a cat or a dog. It's just, our vets are amazing. We had a recent incident with one of our pigs, and the vet came out and she said, I'm going to cover all bases. It was for Charlotte. She said, I'm going to give her this, this, and this just in case. And she did, and it was brilliant. And by the morning, she was okay. But we have had incidents where there's been vet error through lack of knowledge, through lack of doing that procedure. And it has caused serious, serious problems. So that's one of the things we worry about, is if they get ill, because it's so hard. There's no emergency rooms for pigs. You can't ring up a 24-hour emergency room. You can get a vet come out, but you can't get them admitted to hospital. And we've lost an 18-month-old pig because of that reason. We couldn't get her in. They didn't do emergencies, and they said, we desperately want to, but there's no money in it. We can't do it. So it's a very different world from what people think. And generally speaking, because I didn't know that it was different for pigs than it was for other animals. And I don't think many other people do, because when we do the tour, we do tours for people, and we explain to them. We also have an Airbnb, which we rent out, which funds the sanctuary as well. We explain to people on the tours this, and they're like, I had no idea that was the case. And quite a few people have gone away and said to us, I don't eat meat anymore after I saw your pigs, which is great, which is what we want to do.
Right.
Because, it's baby steps. And if we can raise awareness of the actual truth of the life of pigs and how it impacts them being in the food industry, then I think people think bigger. I think that their mind is expanded, and it's all about educating people. And yeah, I think knowledge is good, because I think there's very little knowledge out there unless you actually go and find it.
Well, I would agree. I have to say, I hadn't considered that there would be drugs specific to a pig, but of course that makes sense, and as you've mentioned, sadly, there's no money behind that, but hopefully we're going to change that.
You're listening to Better Life for Animals podcast. Our mission is to amplify the voices of animal advocates, sanctuaries, and change makers working toward a kinder, more compassionate world. But we can't do it alone. We need your help. First of all, go ahead and subscribe to this channel wherever you're watching or listening. And then get involved by visiting betterlifeforanimals.com. That's betterlifeforanimals.com. Be sure to check out our blog, learn more about incredible sanctuaries, and explore our book section, where 100% of net proceeds from book sales are donated to sanctuaries. Every action you take helps to make a difference. And remember, subscribe to this channel. And now, back to the show.
If you're just joining us, we are speaking with Suki Player at Little Pigs at Home. Suki, I know you have rescued some pigs who've been through some trauma, and being they're so smart and so sensitive, I'm wondering what tools you use to help, mend their broken hearts. And I'm also curious to hear about what a pig needs in order to thrive. I hear that you got basically a home for them, but do they also need outdoor space? Do they need to be able to, naturally root? I'm just wondering about all those things.
Okay, so I'll give an example of one of the pigs that we rescued about 18 months ago, Aussie Orange. So which covers kind of all of those things. We have 13 acres here, so the pigs they have their own bedrooms inside, and my dream was always to let the pigs come in or out when they wanted. I didn't want to put them out in the morning and bring them in the evening. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted them to have a choice. So we changed all the gates. I mean, first of all, when we came here, we did have to take them up the field and bring them back. But we changed all the fencing so they can go out and they can go up to the massive field that they have between them, or they can come in and go on their bed. It's up to them. They can do what they like. They generally don't go out when it's raining. They don't particularly like the rain. They'll go to the back door, see it's raining, and I'll have to push them out to go to the toilet because they're like, I really don't want to go out there. I'd rather go on my wee pad. But that's fine. We have wet play days where we shut the door if it's really, really bad and really windy, and we put the toys out and they have wet play days, and they're fine with that, and then they sleep on the mattresses. So when they come in, they have very different needs. So every pig we've ever rescued has behaved in a completely different way. Some of them mourn their previous carers. So Aussie Orange, he was dumped at this lady's house by her friend, and she said, I'm going to come and get him soon. She never came back to get him. And this lady was amazing. She still comes and visits him now. But she basically had this enormous pig in her home. She wasn't allowed pigs, and she had to just sort of kind of like take him out in the garden to do his toilet and bring him in and try and hide him. So he ended up being a very, very overweight couch potato. So when he came to us, his hooves were really long. I mean, they're about this long. And he was morbidly obese, and he was fat blind because his face had just closed over his eyes. So we went to get him, but this lady had done her best for him. She loved him and she'd done her best for him, but she didn't sort of like sign up for that, for looking after a pig. She didn't really know how to look after a pig long term. So we went and got him. Now, at first, Aussie Orange was very, very quiet. He laid on his mattress all day. And the way we helped him was we just sat with him and stroked him and loved on him all the time. And we had to reduce his food very, very slowly, because if you do it quickly, it can have a really bad effect. They can go into shock. So over the space of the year, he did drop to half his body weight. And the outcome is now he just goes out in the field running about, rooting like all the other pigs. But at first, he mourned for Lucy, this lady's name was, she won't mind me saying. He really mourned for her, and he was really sad. And we have to keep them in isolation anyway for at least 30 days before we introduce them to the others. We obviously get the vet call out and do all those things and make sure that they're wormed and vaccinated. That's kind of the first thing we do. Although we don't do that within the first few days because we don't want to bring them here and then introduce a vet and start putting a needle in them. We don't want to do that. And I do the injections anyway, because we do the injections without them really even feeling it. So we kind of say to the vet, we'll do the injections. But yeah, we just loved on him. And actually, he really helped me recover from Bluebell, because Bluebell Bear had just passed away and I was devastated. I was so upset to lose her. So me and Ozzy just sat together every day. I just groomed him and brushed him and talked to him. And he became a real mummy's boy. And eventually he just got up, and then he met the others, and then he started going out. Then he started eating the food we were giving him, because they won't eat sometimes when they come in. They're that stressed, they won't eat. But we gradually got him round, and now he's a different pig, and his face is clear. You couldn't see his eyes open when he came in. Now you can see his eyes, and he looks at you. He's still short-sighted, and sometimes he goes bang straight into us when he's walking or running. But they all vary. Some of them are so glad to be away from where they were that they're just so grateful to be with us, and they can't stop eating. Bluebell Bear, she wouldn't drink from our water bowls when she came in, because where she'd been, the water was so dirty, she'd stopped drinking, because pigs like clean water. So we change our water bowls on a regular basis. We clean them and change them. So when Bluebell Bear started drinking out of the water bowl, it was literally a miracle. We got so excited. It's like, she's drinking. So things like that are just amazing. We had a pig called Peanut, and he needed to come to us. He was going to another sanctuary, actually, but he needed to come to us because he had really bad behavioural issues, like aggression. So he came to us, and he went for me a few times, but you could tell he didn't want to do that. It was because he was so stressed and he was in pain. So the vet came and basically had a back injury, and we think somebody sat on him. They said they didn't, but it was that kind of back injury. And over time, a few months, he ended up going from this terrified pig that was just, he wanted to be your friend, but then something would switch in his brain and he'd just attack. And we got him round to being this loving pig that went down for belly rubs, affectionate, and completely different. He was on a lot of painkillers when he first came to us, but when he left us for the sanctuary that he was supposed to be going to, he wasn't on any painkillers at all. And it's seeing the turnaround in them. It's seeing we've had a pig come in, like Percy came in painfully thin, and he came off the trailer desperately hungry. And he's a lovely weight now, and it's just seeing them either lose weight, put on weight, go from being blind to be able to see, go from just stress to happy and just freedom. And it's just that alone is just, for all the hardship that we go through, not having any money, going out in the weather's really bad here, and Tegrin, where we are, it has its own weather system. It's just 865 feet above sea level, and the rest of Wales can be bad, and it's really bad here. But when we do that, when you see the pigs' lives turn around and what a difference it makes it all worthwhile. Even if they've been so badly abused that they only have months with us. At least they have those last few months of bliss. And that has happened with severely disabled pigs. That has happened. But, you know, we get to know them, their character, what they like, what they dislike, and we help them in those areas. So little man Jerry was severely, severely disabled, but he'd managed to live 8 years like that. And when we took him in, he needed specialist care. And that's one of the things we do here. We take on pigs that other sanctuaries may not be able to take on because of the time. So we try and keep our numbers low so that we can take on specialist cases that need specialist care. And little man Joey, he loved the sun. He loved watching the others. And we got a wheelchair for him as well. And you know, he was the only one that could climb up on the sofa in the main area. We've got a sofa in the main area. He was the only one that could climb up on there. And it's because it stretched his back and he loved it. When he was here, the others used to climb up there and get on the sofa. And since he's passed away, none of them get on that sofa now. And it's just
listening to you talk, it's like you are talking about your children. It is so beautiful and heartwarming. I'm sure that every pig that's fortunate enough to find theirself in your care are just thanking their lucky stars. It also sounds extremely expensive. And I'm just wondering how you keep it all going. Do you have a fundraising strategy? How do you keep it going?
It's really, really difficult, Cheryl. We really are struggling with finances because we doubled our numbers. I always said 10 was our limit because of the specialist care we give. But we took Ruby in last year just before she was about to give birth. And we used to go in there and we gave her like pregnancy massages every night so that she would be okay with us helping her with the birth and touching her babies and touching her. And she was really fine with us when she gave birth. We were there helping her. Now she gave birth to the babies and we've still got them. Now we were going to rehome them, but we kind of decided that we'd keep the family together. And that may or may not happen. But the problem is we went from like 8 pigs to like 16 pigs kind of overnight. And with the cost of living in the UK being so hard at the moment, it's very, very difficult for people to donate. And even we rent out Rosehaven, which is an accommodation. People can come and stay. People can come on tours, and we suggest a donation for people to come on tours. We do fundraisers, but it's not paying for itself at the moment. And that's really tough because we want to keep on doing what we're doing. We want to keep on rescuing. We want to keep on, you know, because we've come so far and helped so many pigs that would otherwise not have had that opportunity and basically just died. That we're determined to carry on, but it's very, very difficult on a low income. It's just really incredibly hard. And my husband's actually disabled, but we have to work outside the sanctuary, which is hard because it's actually running this is 2 full-time jobs.
Mm-hmm.
To try and earn some money and then to help the sanctuary. But really we want the sanctuary to run itself, so that it can, you know, fund itself, so that it can basically run okay without us having to constantly be off the sanctuary and try and work to find extra funds for it. So yeah, money's an issue, but I think money's an issue with most sanctuaries. But yeah, we have fairs, we have volunteer days to bring in volunteers. We have, like I said, we have the Rosehaven holiday. We do the tours. I do stalls, so I do tombola stalls. We do have people that our supporters are amazing. I mean, they're amazing. We have an Amazon list that people go on there and buy things. People make blankets for the pigs because we get through lots of those. People donate mattresses. We have a lot of good people that help us. But the funding at the moment is very difficult. And it's always difficult this time of year after the winter, because winter is our worst time of year, because Rosehaven doesn't rent out very well in the winter because because of the weather. And then we're trying to pick up from March onwards, and we just about get kind of on an even keel around about August. And then you're going into September, October, November, and then you're on the dip again. So we never get that boost that we need. So for instance, the stable, that's the isolation rooms. That needs to be knocked down and rebuilt, but we don't ever get a consistent amount of income coming in whole year round. It's very seasonal here to give us that boost for us to be able to save the money to be able to do these big things around the sanctuary that we need to do, unfortunately.
I hear your pain. That sounds like quite the challenge. I'm wondering if anybody is out there thinking, oh, I wish I could have a pig. And if that were the case, I'm wondering, Suki, if you would have maybe 3 questions that you would ask them before they made that decision.
Okay, 3 questions I would ask them is, are you willing to sacrifice your garden? Okay. And I mean the whole garden for your pig. Are you willing for them to grow 3 times the size of the parents? And have you seen the parents? And probably the 3rd question I would ask is, are you willing to have a giant 3-year-old toddler raging around your house and garden for the next 15 years? And I think that's probably the 3 questions that I would ask, because that is the reality of it. They are just like big 3-year-olds. They have the brain of a 3-year-old child, and they are that's their intelligence, and that's what you got. And their life expectancy is about 15 years. Although, having said that, I think with pigs that are kept like as companions, I think that life expectancy is actually getting a little bit longer. And that would be great. But yeah, and the setup, and have you spent 6 months doing your setup? Because that's about how long it takes to set up your home and your garden, about 6 months, I would say, to get everything set up. We go around and we help people with the setup of, if they want a pig, we help talk them through what it is, how to set everything up, and just guide them through that. And they come to us for like behavioral advice, how to do the garden. And yeah, what are your neighbours like? I mean, our neighbours loved our pigs. When we were in an end terrace in Reading, our neighbours, because we had the pigs in lockdown, so we had a low fence at the back, so all the neighbours used to come round with their toddlers and watch the pigs, and that was their entertainment during lockdown. They were loving life. We never had one complaint. It was quite strange. Never one complaint from any of our neighbours. They loved our pigs.
Suki Player, you are an amazing woman. I am so glad that we had a chance to talk, and I hope now that it's spring that we can find some regular recurring donations for you, because you certainly need it and deserve it. So tell us how we can find you and how we can help you. Okay,
so we are on Facebook and Instagram, Little Pigs at Home. And our website, Little Pigs at Home. Our email address is on there, so you can email us. My phone number is on there, so you can phone us. We're part of Donor Box, so we have a fundraising landing page. We have PayPal, so a lot of people just do PayPal or Donor Box to donate. But the best thing is to just contact us and just follow us on Facebook, because it's packed full of information. And our website obviously has all the relevant links if you want to volunteer with us. We're in West Wales, Tegrin near Crymych, and in Pembrokeshire. And it's a beautiful, beautiful area. I mean, just come and stay. Just come and book a stay with us. Just contact me, book a stay, and have a tour and just be with them. And if you stay in Rosehaven, you'll literally see in the morning the babies run out of their bedroom and run into their outdoor pen and then run back. And it's just the best sight ever, because it's a real experience, and everybody that's stayed here loves it. They love it. They love the pigs, they love the tour, and it's actually a really nice accommodation to stay in as well. We greatly appreciate donations. I mean, at the moment, most of the donations are going towards food, which is about between 6,000 and 8,000 a year. That's pounds, and or vet bills, basically. I mean, our pigs are insured. We insure them. So some of the vet bills gets covered, which is great. In fact, I've just had to sort that out, but not all of the vet bills. But it just takes the edge off it a little bit. But we have Thor, the father of the baby Julianas. He's got to go to Bristol University Vets soon. And he's got an undescended testicle that could potentially prove to be a cancer risk in the future. So we want to have that removed for him to give him the best possible longevity of life. And that's going to be £1,700. And every time we fundraise, because of the time of year it is, and because things are so expensive, we're having to use that on vet bills and food bills. So quite a lot of people from other countries then do a fundraiser and then just like wire us the money. But that's great. I mean, people do cake stalls for us, coffee mornings, somebody's just run a marathon for us, which is amazing. Anything like that. We're just so, so, so grateful. And it's because without people's support, we wouldn't be here. You know, it's people, I always say, even if you can't support us financially, just a kind word, just an encouragement, anything, or just sharing a post. Sharing a post is helpful. Just telling people about us, raising awareness. It doesn't always have to be financial, because I know some people just can't manage that. And it's very, very hard times at the moment. But our batteries run on our supporters. That is basically what feeds us. Today, I went to Cardigan, for instance, and I go to this place. It's on my Facebook page, actually. They sell vegan mezes. I went to get one. She said, "Oh, little pigs at home." I said, "Yeah." She said, "I've got a surprise for you. Somebody's actually paid for your next meze." And somebody in Cardigan that just knows us had just bought, they'd filled out their loyalty card. And when it got to a free meze, they gave it to us for the next time I go in. That, to me, free lunch, absolutely invaluable. I mean, and that's why everybody that does something, I try to thank them on our Facebook page. We're just so grateful. And that's how we keep going. That's how we keep running. So we give out to the pigs, but our food source is people being kind, or praying for us, or just saying a kind word, or sending a donation, or anything, sending a blanket in the post, something like that.
That is a beautiful way to end. Thank you so much, Suki Player. This has been such a fabulous conversation where we got to learn about what it's really like to take care of a beautiful animal that's known as a pig. I'm Cheryl Moss, and if you have enjoyed today's conversation, please like and subscribe so that we can create a better life for animals.
Thank you for joining us on the Better Life for Animals podcast. Together, we can create a world where all beings are treated with dignity, respect, and care. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening. It helps us reach more people and spread awareness about the incredible work happening in animal sanctuaries. You can also share this episode with friends and fellow advocates to keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep speaking up, taking action, and making a difference for the animals.